crazy.
Our report tonight from NBC's Ann Thompson.
They are 18 years worth of babies born into a post-war world.
Our look at the big money out there. What's old is new again.
50s will tell you that they're in early middle age.
It's all a matter of perception. The Virginia
Boomers
boomer
said that middle age starts at 48 and ends at mid-70s.
Matt Thornhill at the Boomer
And
Project.
help boomers fulfill that quest for vitality in any aspect, you will be successful.
I love being the age I am.
From beauty to banking, Madison Avenue is finally getting the message.
Boomers as a generation, because there's so many, as they've gone through the various stages of life, have had huge impacts on the U.S. economy and various industries. Just a handful of examples. When they were babies sitting around the kitchen table and mama needed to feed them, along came Gerber, strained peas, put them in jars, turned themselves into $1 billion company overnight. When they were 5 and 6 and they were watching Saturday morning cartoons on that black and white TV, along came cereal marketers saying, hey, I'll create Frosted Flakes, not Corn Flakes, and I'll create a whole new subcategory of cereal that now dominates the aisle, because they had a market out there called boomers. When they were young adults and they rebelled against their parents and didn't want anything to do with the establishment. Remember anti-establishment? They didn't want to buy cars made in Detroit. They'd buy cars made in Japan and Germany, the very countries that their parents had beaten a world war 20 years before. It'd be like our kids buying, Al-Qaeda brand computers in 20 years or Hezbollah toaster ovens or something. What came first, boomers having babies or the minivan? They happened at about the same time. So as we stand here today with them hitting 50 and older, how are they going to change growing old in this country? What industries will they impact? Financial services, healthcare, travel and tourism, real estate, apparently the candy industry, and on and on and on.
I'll give you a personal example. I'm 48. I've got a brother who's 50. His 2 kids are in college. He's an empty nester. He and his wife do fun things on weekends. Again, we're the same age demographically. I'm 48. I have a 2.5-year-old. When am I going to be an empty nester? No, seriously, when? Do you have any idea? It's going to. The point is, you've got a client out there, or the employer out there has an employee who's 54, and you don't know where they are. You don't know if they just ran that first marathon or just had the triple bypass.
The thing that's driving it is the changing demographic. Right now in America, according to the U.S. Census, there's 135 million adults 18 to 49 and only 89 million adults over 50. So yeah, if I'm a marketer, I'm going to target that big, huge segment. But here's what's going to happen over the next 10 years. According to the Census Bureau, we're going to see no change. No change in 18 to 49. That's because basically the rest of the boomers that aren't yet over 50 are going to age out of that segment, and they're going to be replaced by their kids, Generation Y or the millennial generation. Different names they go by. At the same time, that 50-plus segment is going to boom by 25% in just the next 10 years as all the boomers get to it and as people aren't passing away.
I remember growing up. Here's what I hear from my dad or mom. They'd say, what, you think you're special? Right? How many heard that? And we've turned it around. Now everybody's special. And they want credit for just showing up. Why is that? Because we've given them credit. You want to play soccer? You play soccer, you get a trophy. Just show up, you get a trophy.
It's almost like the brain is doing a triage as it gets older and it's done all its processing and it's kind of running out of steam. It's like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother with the stuff I don't care about anymore. I'm not even going to bother with it. So as a marketer, that's pretty important to understand if you're trying to get an older consumer's attention. You can't scare them into it. You can't use fear tactics. You can't even use negatives. You have got to be positive in your approach. Why? Part of it is how the brain works. I want everybody in the room right now to not think of a pink elephant. Okay, I cheated. I put a pink elephant up. But in order to not think about something, you have to think about it and then kind of not think about it. That's twice the work. So yeah, an older brain, I can see why. I'm not going to bother to even process the negative to think about the positive, then the negative. I'm just going to skip it. Think about, for example, I mean, again, from a communication standpoint, we should know this, but somehow we don't understand this. If I sign the end of an email, please don't hesitate to contact me to follow up. Guess what you're going to do? Hesitate to contact me. Because you just told me to. Please hesitate, do not hesitate. Versus, please contact me if you have any questions to follow up. Positive, state it in the positive.
Generation Y, those people 26 and under who are now in the workforce, some words to describe their work ethic. Electronically dependent, entitled. All right, there's a murmur that's come across the crowd. All those exasperated by managing Generation Y, raise your hand. All opposed? All right, poor parenting. All right, let's talk about Here's the irony. That's right, and who are the parents? Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
As we've worked with boomers and we've worked with clients around the country, one of the questions we're often asked is, what's going to drive boomer behavior going forward? What's going to drive them for the next 40 years? And surely the youth-obsessed boomer generation, it's going to be that quest for the fountain of youth, right? That's going to drive them. And we say, not quite, but close. It's the other side of that coin. We think boomers are going to be driven for the quest for the fountain for vitality. They want to stay vital until they take their last breath. And we call it Viva the Vital, long live the vital. And boomers are going to spend time and money trying to maintain financial vitality, which is where you guys come in, physical vitality, meaning their health, their fitness, their appearance, mental vitality. Now that the doctors and the medical community have figured out how to replace all of my internal organs, my joints, the body can keep going, but as I hit 85 and 90, my brain starts to go. My mental capacities seem to diminish. So what can I do to exercise my brain so that doesn't happen? So the whole mental gymnastics business and investing in kind of mental acuity is going to be a big business over the next 40 years. Social vitality, boomers are not retiring and moving en masse to Florida. Thanks to the hurricane business, we're not really interested in that anymore. But we're also staying connected in our communities. And the last thing we see is that boomers are investing more in spiritual vitality. The closer we're getting to what's next, the more we want to know about what's next. Amazon last year reported the fastest growing segment of book sales, religious and spiritual books, for the third consecutive year.